Hi. Today it's time again for transpersonal reflections. I love reflecting. I love thinking about things. I love having questions. I love having answers to my question, or imagine I have answers to my question, because answers keep changing. As I change, the answers change. But today I want to reflect on the nature of our reality. Small thing. Nature of our reality. And maybe the way we can change it, the way we have a handle on it. So, what is reality? There are many, very many theories about what reality is. And I thought it was a great place here to talk about it, because right now I'm in Trier. It's said to be the oldest city in Germany. And as you see on one side, um, there are old Roman thermal baths that are more than 2,000 years old, or around 2,000 years old. And in the back there's a castle. There's a castle also dating from another time. And so many things have happened here. It would be interesting to have a time machine and just having it sit there, maybe invisible to everybody else, and just, peeking outside, having it go down the years, and seeing all the changes that have happened here. It's quite amazing. I remember one day, I don't know if it was just fantasy, but I had a vision of Roman soldiers um, sitting around fires here, like having a rest and eating, and there being quite a few of these fireplaces, and it was like, wow, yeah, okay, might have been here. So, what is reality? What is reality? Some, our modern science, um, the scientists, how are they called, the physicists, physical science, they have very clear theories. They just see what they just, believe what they see. They see, stuff. They see all this material are all around us. The grass here, the old stones, the trees, everything. It's just like can be explained and dissected into its components. And the more down you go to the very smallest scale, you come to the atomic level, where things, look very similar to, an atom of a stone, or an atom of a leaf. I don't know, they probably look quite similar. They have their, you know, they have a whole, like a solar system, things turning around the atomic center, uh, the electrons, and so on. And the more down you go to whatever, I don't know what the deepest layer of matter is that has been explored yet, like the strings and very elementary particles, then everything starts to be just energy. And you have on the most advanced science that the physicists physics has to offer is quantum physics. And there everything changes. Everything is not so predictable anymore. You have quantas, you know, that are possible states. You have the state of I haven't studied now to prepare, but you know what I mean. You have the wave and the particle, and everything is on a completely different. It's a completely different story. What's happening, and it's so much more unpredictable. And it's even, you know, the most daring physicists, they admit that matter, the so-called matter, behaves differently if it is observed by a consciousness, by an entity, by us humans. If we expect it to be in a certain way, you know, we influence the matter. How can this fixed matter be influenced? You know, a good question. So that tells me that everything is energy, that what we see is what our senses have, you know, the eyes, the ears, what we touch, what we have been used to expect. It's a habit. You know, we very often see what we expect to see. If something would land here that is completely impossible, I might not even see it. Most people won't see it. So from there comes the idea that matter is not primordial, like consciousness. You know, is consciousness produced by the brain, or is me as a conscience, as a sentient being, as an entity, am I somewhere else? Am I just energy? Am I non-physical? And I'm just using, right now, I'm using this vehicle, this human body that has this very elaborate brain that has evolved for millions of years until it reached this level of capacity. So many questions. But I wanted to say is that where my reflections are is that and what many traditions, you know, of seekers, spiritual teachers have been saying. What are spiritual teachers? They try to understand reality, how reality functions, and our best way to navigate this life and to have some meaning. And many say that matter is not the main thing. Consciousness is prior to matter, and that what we see here now, where I'm sitting on this grass, is something that is created by me or co-created by a collective, by the collective of humanity, to have some kind of environment where we experience what we experience, what we have, this world that we can build, that we can change, that is evolving, that is aging. You know, all these parameters, all these laws that this world has to function, and it is very real, and it looks very real. It changes, it has time, but where is it situated? Is it really here? Or is it a collective, you know, I don't know how to say it, collective creation, like a dream? When you dream, everything seems real, you know, not everybody has this kind of totally vivid dreams, but many have. You know, they touch things, they hear things, they do things that normally they can't do in a normal reality, but it's still a very real place. And it feels as real as this place. So let's just suppose this is a collective dream without making it small. You know, it is organic, it is there, it is real, but it doesn't really have this physicality that we have been used to think it is. You know, that we have. Okay, what does it change? You know, what does it change? Who cares? You know, who cares if that's a dream or who cares if that's a real thing? Yeah, good question. It changes because you are part of the consciousness that is creating it. So, in a way, you think you are just here and this is all powerful, you know, this is unchangeable, you know, you need to take a big bulldozer to change that, to build something here. It takes a long time to change this reality because it's so, there's gravity, things are you know, you need to put one brick on top another brick to build a house, and it takes time. It's not like magic. But in a dream, it's like magic. You could just, you know, imagine, you know, there's something here, and then depending on what kind of dream you have, it will appear. So why doesn't it do that in this reality? Yeah, probably because we have accepted certain rules, and because it's a collective creation. And knowing that, we might have a handle on it. If we really realize that we are co-creating it, we might be able to be more creative around it, or, you know, experiment around it. And what's the purpose of it? Yeah, the purpose is experience. You know, why would we create, you know, imagine, you know, nowadays we have these virtual reality games and everything like in a virtual reality, and virtual reality has become more and more sophisticated, that it becomes really, starts to become hard to distinguish it from the real reality. You know, imagine you have this kind of goggles and you have all these sensors around you that mimic, you know, movement, and you feel gravity in a certain way changing and all that, then it would be really difficult to at least for a while, when you get really caught in the game, you might forget where you are, and at some point when in the game you would fall or step over a cliff or something really bad would happen, your body would actually react as if it was real. So, and that's your consciousness, that's your mind, that's your senses that give you that input. And what is different here? You experience, and like in a game, I mean, in the game you know, like usually in the game you have more than one life, because, you know, first you have to get to know the game, and you have to play a while until you survive for more than 10 minutes. And after a while, you know, you can really navigate the game, and you know how to do things, how to get to places, how to fight the big monsters, how to know where to find the treasure or how to find it, and so you progress. And maybe it's the same for we humans. We have we seem, at least in my experience, and I have done some regression work finding other lives, other incarnations. We seem to have more than one life. We seem to have many lives. So it would be very limiting, you know, if we just had one life. What could you try? Not much. You could just barely learn how your body functions, how reality functions, and then comes I don't know what, a big tiger needs you, and okay, bye, it's done, never again. That would be kind of frustrating. So I don't think so. I think in the system itself, it's a built-in. In a way, you know, I think the system itself wants to teach us, wants to improve us, wants to, you know, and saying that we came here out of our own free will just to learn these skills. Like when you play a game, you know, some people do and some people don't, and some people are totally enthusiastic about it. So we might be the enthusiastic ones for this kind of game. So in a way, that's where I'm not saying it's true, but I'm saying that's in my not so humble opinion. It seems like the most likely. So and what's the purpose? The purpose is to learn. The purpose is to improve. The purpose is I don't know where the system is. Maybe there's the intention is, like we say, divine. There's a divine, huge, all-knowing being that was one with everything. And maybe at some point, some flash of lightning insight made him aware that it was very boring to be alone. And then came the intention, like a big bang, to multiply, to send out an infinity of facets of itself, with the intention, okay, just go experience, go have fun, go know yourself, go interact, do stupid things, do good things, do bad things. And in a way, yeah, the one gets to know itself through all its facets, that know themselves, that get to know themselves because of the mirror, because of the, you know, the more than one. If I'm alone, I don't know anything. But if I have something in front of me, something positive or even something negative, you know, we say it's a duality here. It's a so it's this tension between the opposites that makes us learn through challenges, and learn through love and kindness, compassion. And maybe the system, I don't know, all the systems, there's also laws of physics, is telling the law of entropy, you know. If you lower the entropy, things stay, or is it the opposite? No, I mean, in some ways, the system breaks down, and in another direction, when the entropy increases, I think if it's lowered, then the system survives longer, because every system has a tendency to break down, like things are aging, things are growing, trees are growing old and big, and then comes a storm and they fall over. And every system has its kind of shelf life, like we have. So I'm not so sure about everything. I just see there's a lot of things going on that challenge this. And right now, there's a lot of challenges to everybody. But there's a force there. And I think the force is benevolent one. It wants good. It wants to improve. We come into this system not to destroy it, not to become, you know, big monsters, and biggest monsters of all biggest monsters, and destroy everything, and then what? Then the whole thing collapses anyway. The system wants to teach in a good way. So all the positive sides of ourselves, all the things where we evolve, where we have insights, where we go beyond our little egos and our big egos, when you have big egos, that is freeing. That is where you become more than this body, when you become aware that you are there not just for yourself, but you open up to the group, to the collective. You start to serve, to teach, to give. You stop just building walls around you to protect yourself, to have more, to yeah, that is one direction. Fear or love. Fear builds walls and accumulates wealth, accumulates power, puts out as many defenses as possible, attacks whatever could be a threat, and the system collapses after quite a short time. So the system itself doesn't want it to happen. So, and the intention is to learn. The intention is to overcome this negativity, this selfishness, this and become like the system is benevolent. Go beyond your little ego. Know that you are all coming from the same origin, but you dare to experiment, to create. Imagine there's a world where there's no more fight over resources, where people can create whatever they want. No, that's actually, I described it by book, The Other World. At some point, the real values come. People have time to create, to be artists. They have time to raise their children, to be fully present for their children, to really properly give them presence, and that would raise another humanity. Or do something for the collective, have fun, explore, go into the universe. All these things are possible when we start to not to be so selfish or so self-centered, to be more centered on creating, on being more than small identifications. Because where are we right now? Humanity is mostly identified with a small part of themselves. This kind of selfish, still in the jungle living individual that needs to protect itself, that is full of fears. And let's learn to let go of these fears. There's one direction is fear, control, and the other one is love and service and creativity, exploration. If you start merging with other people, having real connections, you never lose yourself, but you can be more. You can expand. You don't need drugs to expand. You can. If you have a real connection with another person, or, I don't know, that's the future. You can have not sexual, but ecstatic moments of exploring more than what you are. And yeah, I think reality and the future is to recognize that the main thing that we are living is not this physical world. This physical world is actually an illusion. Not because it's not there, not because it's not real, but because it's a collectively created universe that exists in consciousness, in our collective consciousness, and probably supported by still the oneness, this ultimate being that has, from which we all are a facet of. It's kind of easy to understand. It's very organic, and this is a very powerful being. I don't know if it's infinitely powerful. It potentially has all powers it needs to create all that we see. And there are probably many different levels in between, and we are where we are, and we are evolving, and it's very exciting. So this was just here in Trier, between the old Roman thermal baths and a castle from, I don't know, the 18th century, and this meadow. These are just reflections. Hopefully they just touch you, and you can continue to reflect and maybe question everything that you've been believing before. Because belief, what is a belief? It's an identification. It's good to identify with who we really are. And maybe disidentify with, probably the first steps are to disidentify, because you're identified with so much crap. And we have so much layers of trauma and stuff that the path of freeing and becoming this kind of enlightened free being is to release, clear and heal and clear, and all this, I don't know how many layers of stuff that we have. As we let them go, as we clear them, it becomes more and more clear. We kind of see reality. There's no effort. There's nothing impossible. It's just organic. It happens by itself. We just see what is, and we don't see it anymore through the lens of this, I don't know how many thousands of layers of stuff, that we don't see anything anymore. Okay, thank you. Bye.